night, good night, good night. This is the cutting edge. And next Wednesday night, warm and cool at the same time, I tell you. Stop falling every day. I have to tell you that, but that's true. Every day rainfall. I'm a man, I'm man. Things are go fast, don't it? Yeah, man. When they come back quick. And you have to get some money quick to do certain things that you never do. From the other day, I did want to do it quick. Yeah, man. Time now, wait. Yes, so we're there with you. So, you know, from last year, early last year, we are talking about this revolution we are going on in Africa there. Mali, Niger, Senegal involved now. And now we have this youth to come up now, we become like the vanguard, the epitome of what a revolution supposed to take place in Africa, supposed to be. Now, even though this youth take over the country with a coup, and we know, say, Africa not really used to democracy. Them not used to that. For you know, upright, them just decide to them all just go in there and move you. Them not wait for no election. Well, this youth take over the country with a coup. Well, it seems as if he might do something where a whole heap of one who come with them coup never do. And that is to transform Burkina Faso into a real place. And when I say a real place, I mean a real place. To the point now where him run out the French just like how the Mali people them and the Niger people them, they run out the French them. And now it started to spread all over Africa because the new president of Namibia, which is a woman, I say American must get visa for coming to our country because when she want to go somewhere, we have to get visa for going up for them country. And it started to spread. This youth here, Ibrahim Traoré, him make a move where most Africans never make. And that is to nationalize the gold and all of the mineral resources in our country to help the country itself. And since him come in, it's about 19 times them try to kill him. You hear me say? Them try to kill him about 19 times now. Coup on top of even the whole, the last one I hear about is the one where them say some Cote d'Ivoire man involved with it. You know, that is the Ivory Coast. Them say him involved in it, and then them send man. The French, them send spy in our country, and I don't know how him find out about them, but it seems to be a mafia dab, bob and weave, and I move left and right, so as not to make these people do them like what them do. Gaddafi and others like him, Lumumba, them kill off a whole heap of the progressive leaders in Africa. And then now we have to really just sing them praises. Well, he has done a lot already. Yeah, him is the youngest president in Africa. And he has done so much that I did them have a rally against France and America. So they must leave Traoré alone. And I tell you what, in France, thousands of people are rallying against the French government. So they must leave him, make him do what he do. Because Africa really needs a transformation, especially in this time. Yeah. So you know, after the next break, we have to play a clip about how them try to get rid of him. How them try to get rid of him and him overcome that. How them send spy and all sort of people to kill him and get rid of him, but him overcome it. So Yes, so we are telling about Ibrahim Traoré, the president of Burkina Faso, who is creating waves, not only in Africa, but all over the place. Because him come totally different. Totally different. And for the short space of time when him there, you know, it's one of the only countries right now we don't own no debt. Yeah, man, him use the gold in him country and pay off all them debt them and realize the French, where they did there, where they dig out the gold and the other mineral them, where them get out tight and where the French them get out tight is unbelievable. And him decide say no, it can't work that way there. Oh, no forget, like them I get most about 80% and the country I get 20%. Him say none of that. So them try all the while to have a coup against him. I think them says about 19 to 20 times since him there. Them try coup him, but it never work. So we want to play this clip here. I tell about the coup where them try against him. I mean, I thought a long time neither, I thought I was just the idea.
In the dead silence of April 16th, 2025, a storm was supposed to strike, not of nature, but of men. A coup d'etat planned in whispers, fueled by vengeance, desperation, and foreign gold. Its target? The military leader who defied the world order, Captain Ibrahim Traoré. For months, they plotted in the dark. The plan was clear: overthrow Traoré, seize Kossiam Palace, silence the revolution, and restore a system long buried. But at the heart of this story lies betrayal. Names that once swore loyalty to the flag are now stained by betrayal. This is the true story of 4 men, not just soldiers, but symbols of betrayal. Men who once swore to defend their nation, now accused of nearly breaking it. Major Corey, Lieutenant Abdou Bari, Colonel Diallo Kader, and Captain René Ouedraogo. They were the architects of a secret war. But let us unfold how a band of conspirators schemed in the shadows, how loyalists uncovered their plan, and how a coming coup fell apart before it could drag the country into violence. Welcome to the world of research. Welcome to the large family of WIN, Wisdom in Narrations. It began months earlier, in hushed meetings and covert exchanges far from prying eyes. Major Corey, a disillusioned senior officer, emerged as the mastermind of the plot. He quietly reached out to like-minded soldiers and exiles, convinced that Captain Ibrahim Traoré's junta had betrayed the country's interests. By early 2025, Corey had recruited a small circle of co-conspirators, each with a specific job in the secret plan. Lieutenant Abdou Bari, exiled across the border, Bari became the plot's spokesman-in-waiting. Known for his powerful speeches, he recorded speeches and rallying cries on video and audio, intended to be broadcast to the nation at the moment of the coup. His messages, dripping with revolutionary zeal, promised to restore dignity and order after removing Traoré from power. Some of these recordings were covertly circulated on the dark web and encrypted messaging apps, hinting at a coming upheaval without revealing details. Captain René Ouedraogo, Logistics Chief. An active duty officer, Captain Ouedraogo handled the tough, hands-on work. He secretly moved weapons, ammunition, and vehicles to hidden houses on the outskirts of Ouagadougou, the capital. Late at night, in secret warehouses, he gathered and stored assault rifles and uniforms for the soldiers who would join the coup. Investigators later identified Ouedraogo as a central figure who brought others into the plan. Colonel Diallo Kader, propaganda architect. A retired military information officer, Colonel Kader lent his expertise in psychological operations. He crafted a sophisticated propaganda campaign to legitimize the coup. Polished videos were produced showing armed men declaring the liberation of Burkina Faso and denouncing Traoré's government as puppets of foreign powers. In early April, one such video went viral on social media, a masked officer calling on citizens to reclaim our nation on April 16th. It was quickly taken down by authorities, but not before it sowed confusion and got thousands of views. Kader's aim was clear: to erode public confidence in the junta and prime the population to welcome the coup as a rescue mission. Major Corey, lead planner and liaison. At the helm, Corey coordinated all these moving parts. He communicated with Lieutenant Barry over encrypted channels on the dark web, ensuring the exiled voice stayed in sync with the on-ground reality. He checked which units might be friendly to their cause and planned the attack on the presidential palace. But even more dangerously, Corey reached out to Burkina Faso's worst enemies, the jihadist militants causing chaos in the north. Through secret contacts, he made a risky deal. The extremists would step up their attacks in the countryside as a distraction on the day of the coup, in exchange for future forgiveness or other promised rewards. The plan was to attack the capital at the same time as major terrorist strikes elsewhere. By tying their coup to the jihadists' atrocities, the plotters intended to sow total chaos and overwhelm the government on multiple fronts. These four men and their followers formed a secret group driven by ambition and anger. They saw themselves as the country's saviors, or so they said, but in reality, their plan was a betrayal of the very army and people they claimed to serve. As they refined their plans, they used burner phones, coded language, and face-to-face strategy sessions in safe houses to avoid detection. Encrypted messages flew between the conspirators in early April, laying out final tactics and rendezvous points. The date for their power grab was fixed, April 16th, 2025. They called it Operation Dawn in their secret communications, a promise that by dawn of that Wednesday, a new regime would be in charge. Without the conspirators knowing, the government's intelligence services had been watching, quietly and carefully, for weeks. Unit 9, a top intelligence team, became suspicious after noticing more talk on hidden online sites used by extremist supporters. In late March, as Unit 9 analysts went through digital whispers on the dark web, one username caught their eye: Corey Burke, 1984. Posing as militants, the agents engaged this user in an encrypted chat room. What they discovered set off alarm bells. Vague references to a big event in April and mention of friends in the south, possibly code for allies in Côte d'Ivoire, supplying resources. The breakthrough came in early April, when Burkinabe security forces intercepted communications between a high-ranking military officer and terrorist leaders. In that intercepted exchange, a series of encoded satellite phone calls, an army officer was heard giving jihadist fighters detailed information about the deployment of Burkina Faso's troops. He spoke of garrison locations and patrol routes, effectively handing the insurgents a map to exploit weaknesses. This betrayal was intended to escalate terrorist attacks against security forces and civilians to create havoc and stir up a revolt against the authorities. Immediately, officials realized these weren't random leaks. They were part of a coordinated plot. Investigators traced the leak to Major Corey. Now the puzzle pieces began to fall into place. If Corey was sharing troop positions with jihadists, he must be planning something coordinated. Intelligence officers also recalled an alarming incident. A few weeks prior, an anonymous video had spread online calling for soldiers to rise on April 16th. That propaganda clearly showed Colonel Diallo Kader's style. Could it be that disparate signs, the video, the leaked information, and the rumors of soldiers talking about rebelling in the barracks were all connected? By April 10th, Unit 9 was convinced a coup was about to happen. The government of Captain Ibrahim Traoré moved with urgent secrecy. Traoré, only 34 and himself risen to power via a coup in 2022, had been through multiple scares of destabilization. He called a midnight meeting with his top security advisors at the presidential lodge. There, the head of Unit 9 laid out the evidence: intercepts, informant tips, and surveillance reports mapping out the conspirators' network. On a board, they marked the key names: Major Corey, Colonel Kada, Captain Wedraugo, and a mysterious Lieutenant Barry believed to be operating from abroad. Traoré's face grew stony. To think that current and former soldiers under his command were working with terrorists to bring down the government was a clear reminder of how broken loyalties had become. The president gave a single directive: stop the plot at all costs before April 16th. Unit 9 and special military units dubbed Groupe d'Intervention mobilized a plan of their own, an early move to shut down the coup before it started. They codenamed it Operation Nightfall. Its execution date, April 15th, 2025, the eve of the planned uprising. As dusk fell on April 15th, most of Ouagadougou was unaware of the storm brewing beneath the surface. But in government safe houses and barracks, loyal soldiers put on tactical gear and checked their weapons. In complete secrecy, several teams spread out across the city, working together to arrest the plotters all at once. Shortly after 11 p.m., the first strike came. A convoy of plain military trucks surrounded an ordinary-looking warehouse on the eastern edge of the capital. This was one of Captain Wedraugo's arms depots, identified through days of surveillance. When the security forces broke through the metal doors, they found a pile of evidence: crates of AK-47 rifles, grenades, radios, and stacks of camouflage fatigues with no unit insignias, the tools of a planned assault. Gathered around maps and satellite photos in a corner were 3 junior officers loyal to the plot, shocked by the sudden raid. They surrendered without a fight. More importantly, among the papers seized was a hand-drawn plan of the presidential palace and a timetable, proof that the conspirators aimed to swarm the presidency in the early hours of April 16th. Meanwhile, another team moved in on a private villa in the Ouaga 2000 district, an upscale neighborhood. Here, Colonel Diallo Kader was caught off guard, reportedly in the middle of uploading one of his pre-recorded coup proclamations to a burner phone. Kader's arrest was quick. Commandos held down the 62-year-old colonel as he shouted that he was saving the country. Seized alongside him were laptops filled with coup manifestos and propaganda videos, including the originals of those that had been leaked online. Across town, Major Corey met a harsher fate. Acting on a tip, an assault team intercepted Corey's convoy as he attempted to flee an unsafe safe house. Cornered on a dimly lit street, Corey's guards exchanged fire with loyalist forces. In the brief firefight, Corey was wounded and one of his men killed. Within minutes, the mastermind of the coup was in custody, injured but alive and still refusing to back down. Major Corey's capture decapitated the plot's leadership, effectively foiling the coup's brain trust just hours before 0 hour. One key target, however, slipped away. Captain René Ouedraogo, the logistics chief, had been expected at the warehouse meeting, but he sensed trouble when communications went dark. Instead of rushing in, he melted into the night before Unit 9 could close the net. By the time soldiers reached Ouedraogo's residence, he was gone. In the chaos of the crackdown, Ouedraogo managed to flee, turning him into the most wanted man in Burkina Faso. As of the latest reports, he is currently on the run, according to Minister Sana. Back at the presidential compound, Captain Traoré monitored the operations in real time via radio. When the all-clear finally sounded in the pre-dawn hours of April 16th, it was official. The coup had been stopped before it even started. Dozens of plotters and their accomplices were arrested in the sweep, including active duty officers and some retired soldiers. Shockingly, several well-known officers were among those detained, such as Commander Frederic Ouedraogo, a former battalion commander, and Captain Élisée Tassembedo, head of a northern security unit, both picked up for questioning in the preceding days. The breadth of the conspiracy was coming into focus, and it was larger than initially thought. Dawn on April 16, 2025, arrived in Ouagadougou with quiet, normal life. The sun rose over calm streets, small motorbikes buzzed by, and markets opened like any other day. Most Burkinabe had no idea that if a plan hadn't been stopped, this morning could have exploded into gunfire. The coup that wasn't left few visible marks. No tanks, no sirens, no gunshots. But subtle signs were there. Extra guards at the palace. A heavier military presence at key sites. Curious citizens whispered, but the government stayed silent, preferring calm until all threats were neutralized. For the conspirators, this morning was meant to be their triumph, an assault on the presidency, the arrest of Traoré, and a new regime announced before sunrise. Simultaneous terrorist strikes were to spread confusion across the country. Instead, Major Corey sat in custody. Colonel Kader was arrested. Lieutenant Barry was stranded in exile. Captain Ouedraogo had vanished. Their plan had collapsed. That evening, President Traoré appeared on national television. Dressed in fatigues, serious face, he confirmed what many had begun to suspect. A coup attempt had been dismantled. "You slept in peace last night," he said, "under the shadow of a grave threat. Thanks to the vigilance of our security forces, our nation stands strong." Without naming names, he condemned those in league with foreign collaborators who had tried to seize power. "We will hunt down every last traitor," he vowed. "We will be merciless in our defense of the nation." He warned that the enemies of Burkina Faso, though stateless, remained active, a pointed message to those suspected of backing the coup from abroad. Traoré closed with a call for unity, urging Burkinabe to stay focused on the fight against jihadist insurgents. The camera lingered on him as he saluted, then the screen faded to black. In homes and barracks across the country, people absorbed the shock. Relief that the coup had failed. Anger that some among them had plotted with extremists. Traoré's calm, firm leadership earned praise. But questions still hung in the air. Who else was involved? How deep did the betrayal go? And was the danger truly over? In the days after the April 16th coup attempt, Burkina Faso's military government methodically disclosed how far the conspiracy reached. On April 21st, Security Minister Mahamadou Sana held a nationally televised press briefing that wove together statements, intelligence leaks, and official findings into a single, detailed account. He began by declaring that authorities had dismantled a major plot designed to overthrow the presidency and sow total chaos across the country. Sana explained that the coup was to unfold in two synchronized strikes. First, dissident soldiers, recruited and guided by both serving and former officers, would storm the presidential palace. Second, at that very moment, jihadist militants would launch coordinated attacks in multiple provinces, drawing government forces away from the capital. According to Sana, the main people behind the coup hadn't even stayed inside Burkina Faso's borders. They were operating from exile in Côte d'Ivoire. He named two of the most notorious figures by rank and alias, Commander Joanny Compaoré and Lieutenant Abdramane Abdou Barry, both described as army deserters who had fled to Abidjan and become the plot's chief propagandists. Investigators attributed the government's early warning to intercepted messages exchanged between a Burkinabe officer and terrorist commanders. Those communications, once decrypted, detailed patrol schedules and target coordinates, allowing security services to stop both the palace attack and the insurgents' distraction attacks. Sana emphasized the dramatic scope of the conspiracy, the willingness of its architects to let Burkina Faso burn if that chaos enabled their power grab. But the plotters' ambitions went beyond a simple coup. Sana explained that they had tried to win over religious and traditional leaders, asking them to use their influence to convince soldiers and civilians to join them. Signed documents found in the conspirators' safe house revealed a shocking plan to set up a new government that would ask for help from foreign powers, basically putting parts of Burkina Faso under outside control. In Sana's words, this would have meant giving away parts of the country's independence in exchange for protection from outsiders, something he called the ultimate betrayal of the nation. Over the week following April 16th, security forces rounded up dozens of implicated officers across the country. Some apprehended at military posts, others intercepted at border crossings. Courts-martial loomed for those detained, though Sana withheld details on any civilian collaborators. The trouble shook trust inside the army. Fired commanders and their suspected allies were looked at with suspicion, and President Ibrahim Traoré quickly changed key leadership positions to close any security gaps. On the diplomatic front, Sana's naming of Côte d'Ivoire as the plot's hiding place sparked a serious argument between Ouagadougou and Abidjan. Accusations that Ivory Coast sheltered the coup's leaders reopened old wounds from a similar dispute in September 2024 and threatened to cause a full-blown diplomatic crisis. Abidjan denied any involvement, but regional analysts warned that this tense situation could break apart West African cooperation at a time when unity was badly needed against jihadist threats. Indeed, jihadist fighters were still a constant threat. By 2025, around 40% of Burkina Faso was under some level of militant control. As the army worked to crush what was left of the coup, extremist groups looked for weak spots, launching surprise attacks in the north that tested Burkina Faso's worn-down forces. Sana described the coup's failure as a double win. It not only stopped a violent takeover, but also helped protect the fragile fight against terrorism. In his final words, he stressed that by stopping the plot, the government had avoided both a foreign-backed regime change and a possible collapse in the battle against jihadists. In the end, the attempted coup clearly showed the connected dangers facing Burkina Faso, from anger and betrayal inside the country to outside groups helping plots and the non-stop attacks from insurgents. The quick and public way the plot was stopped showed the government's determination, but it also revealed serious weaknesses inside the army, with neighboring countries, and in the unstable areas where jihadists hide. As the dust settled, Burkina Faso's leaders faced the tough job of rebuilding trust at home and bringing people together against threats both known and hidden.
This just happened last month, you know. Last month this happened. Traoré is in some serious problems, you know. Because we know what these guys do and intend to do when a man rise up and defy them power. Remember Gaddafi, Sankore, Lumumba. I mean, so much rise up. This youth, they might do some things when no other one has ever done. Yes. When them decide say I'm going to use the gold and pay off the country debt, it was a shock to the outside world, especially France. Especially France. And now we see my bill. He might pave a whole heap of road we never paved yet. Bill, beautiful airport. And him not take no pay. Him not have no limousine. Him not have no private jet. Him not take no pay. And him a drive on the back of the van them with the soldier them said we here. Serious you. And now we say him actions are spread. Yeah man, somebody just want to light the fire and then now you see everything catch, all of the wood them catch, you know, and then it spark all over the place. And that is what happening in Africa right now.
Why some people say
yes, that is what is happening in Africa. A whole heap of people still at youth.
We'll get
and say, but wait, this will look for a long time, man. And this are the spark where they are weird pan. So we hope it continue. We hope it continue because old man.
As some people
When I talk
say,
about,
no,
that youth is
don't
about
you
30 years old.
worry.
We have old man
You
we are come from them country.
rich man sick,
We are 60 years old.
but don't stay too long
And them
stay
just a get
sweet.
connected
Oh,
now
don't you be
because of the
sad,
inspiration of this youth. Yeah. Yeah, them start to look on things different. So we will see how far it will go, but we have to
don't sleep
make
long
the world know say we, well, not about we know, I can't talk about Jamaica, I have to talk about the Rasta.